The story we tell ourselves is nothing more and nothing less than a story that we tell ourselves, but it is not the reality. The depth in which we don't know our purpose as a human being forces us to make a purpose by creating a story of how it is, but that's not how it is. It is possible for it to be anything. Quote by me from Expressions of Reality Being Able to Change. Welcome back to the Future Self podcast. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 12. The human experience, the cliches, the quotes, the thoughts you have that you don't tell anyone, the thoughts you have that you think are individual, diving a little bit below the surface. What does that quote mean? Why did I say it? Why did I start out the podcast with it? That quote is the ultimate depiction of how you live your life, telling yourself that you are the story that you think you are, that you are high stress, that you are perfectionistic, that you are depressed, that you are lonely, lacking confidence, not trusting, not trustworthy. You are not what you tell yourself you are only. That is not only who you are. It's not only how things are. That is your perception, and that is your story you have created to make sense of this thing called life. That is the story you have molded yourself around to give you direction, purpose, reasoning, validation, and understanding. If I didn't say I was high stress, perfectionistic, high output, high achieving, fast moving, doing what others hadn't been doing, I don't think I would be where I'm at. I don't think I would have achieved what I have achieved. I don't think I would have been able to do the things I have done. But that's not only who I am. Since traveling the world solo on my own, I'm not that high stress individual that I told myself I am. I'm not that perfectionistic kid. I'm not that go, 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 only working. I'm not that obsession about everything being in order, perfect systems. Was I? Fuck yeah, I was. For a long time. It had positive impact on so many things. It had a negative impact on so many things too. Now, I'm not saying you need to travel the world solo in order to change your story. You can change your story at any point in time, but you need to expose yourself to different change and new. It's so interesting being a coach, explaining that you need to change in order to see change, and how easy that is for me to think about. Because when I think about it, I think of the things I'm doing: training, eating, sleeping, hard working, systems, routine, discipline. But I have those on lock. I don't need to change them. So when I reflect on changing things such as high stress, perfectionism, my avoidant relationship attachment style, everything being perfect, everything going smooth to plan, that fucking terrifies me. And it's a concept I've been thinking about a little bit recently, that so many coaches preach change, myself included, on things we're already doing. So we know it's easy. We just think all you have to do is eat better. All you have to do is move more. All you have to do is structure your day. But I'm doing those things. It's like when if my therapist was to say to me, all you have to do is stop stressing. All you have to do is not let things be perfect. All you have to do is be secure in a relationship. That to me is fucking terrifying. So the relatability I have when I coach people on what real change needs, real change means, I understand it. Because for me to change the flaws and traits that I have and the things I do incorrectly or not very efficiently day to day, some of those things are scary to change. So here's an example. I'm filming 2 podcasts today, episode 12 and episode 13, to finish off this season. I'd planned yesterday, booked a studio. I mapped out what outfit I wanted to wear, wrote down my notes on my phone. I wrote down what I want to talk about, how I want things to be structured, everything perfect to plan. I walk 5 kilometers to the studio, Google Maps that motherfucker, had the wrong location saved in. So then I have to walk 6 kilometers back with 15 minutes until my studio time starts. I get to the studio, frantic, sweaty, couldn't find it for half an hour on the street. I was messaging the guy who was talking back to me in Italian. It was a shit show. I end up being in the studio, open my bag, get everything set up. I don't have my laptop. I left my laptop at home. It was at that moment I thought, do I scrap this? Screw it, fuck it, what's the point? Or do I work with it, bear with it, and be the person I want to be? Someone calm, understanding, has a bit of fun, and goes with it. So I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna go back, ran, grabbed my laptop. On the way back to grabbing my laptop, I was mauled by a dog, and it had a muzzle on, thank fuck. It aggressively barked, jumped up on me, and it scared the actual fuck out of me. That's the most scared I've ever been around an animal ever. The owner said, sorry, I just keep running, grab my computer. I have a laugh about it. I have a frantic panic, tell my mum. We have a bit of a joke about it. She supports me. I come back, I sit down. I'm sweaty, I'm frantic. Everything was a shit show. So what? Doesn't matter. Doesn't need to be perfect. I'm not here to have a perfect studio setup. I'm not here for everything to be insane. I'm here to give value, have a conversation, express the things I'm learning. Not many people are doing what I'm doing, so they don't get to learn what I'm learning, and I can't gatekeep that, so I want to share it. But if I only stuck to the story I told myself, perfectionistic, high stress, everything on point, super high quality, you wouldn't be listening to this episode right now. Now, whether this episode is super high quality, gives value or not, that's for you to decide. That's your perception. That's for you to take something away or not. That's out of my control. But what's in my control is having a bit of fun, having a chat, doing what I love, which is this podcast, and getting into it. So to take away something from what I just said, the story you tell yourself isn't actually what life is, and it's not what you are. It's what you are at that point in time, because you're acting based on that story you tell yourself. Anything can change. Anything can change, and you have the ability to do so, but you need to be willing to expand on your story. So one thing that I gathered back on the last 2 episodes, 10 and 11, the feedback was amazing. Spotify views went rapid for some reason. I don't know why. I thought new studios, YouTube would pop off, but anyway, one thing I changed was jotting down information on my phone, writing notes, quotes, thoughts, and experiences over the week. Now, I've always been stressed. I don't want to be on my phone while I'm having a podcast. I don't want to feel like I'm having to jot down notes and read them. But then I thought, what the fuck? I can't have the pressure and expectation to remember every intricate detail, moment, and thought I have over a week and deliver it with the same impact and value that it could be at that point in time. So the end of this season, and moving into the next season, I'm going to go off my phone or computer a little bit more to recall back on things I experienced. Because when I see things, I voice memo into my phone. So there's some good points. Anyone on Spotify, you won't notice at all. But YouTube, if I'm on my phone, I'm not Snapchatting. I'm getting this fucking info. So one thing I was thinking of recently, emotions can be an experience, not a dictation of your choices. I've touched on this a little bit before. That states that what you feel doesn't have to be what you do. If you feel sad, you don't have to do, in quotation marks, sad people things. If you're feeling happy, you don't have to just do happy person things. If you're feeling motivated, you don't have to do motivated things. There is a skill and an importance on being able to feel a feeling and still do what's needed to be done. If we only ever do things based on how we feel, we are at the surrender to fucking everything. You could walk out your front door, fall over, feel sad, and that's changed the plans for the whole day. You could have the rain make you feel anxious. That's changed the plans for the whole day. You could have a rest day planned and it's sunny. That changes the plans for the whole day. You can't let your emotions dictate your actions. That is a life of anxiety, stress, consistent worry, and just no fucking consistency. No streamline, nothing that's predictable. That is why you see people outlet through food. Because based on emotions, food for comfort. That's why you see people who are constantly bitching, lying, and nagging people. They're always stressed, forgetful, and anxious. Because they're always making sporadic and random choices based off your emotions. So again, linking back to the example I just made, I was a little bit frustrated and upset with how the podcast started. I'm not going to let that dictate me not doing the episode. If I wake up tomorrow feeling a little bit lonely on my solo travels or a little bit scared, I'm not going to let that dictate my choices. There's things I have to do. I need to train. I need to work. I need to stick to a routine. I need to eat clean and I need to move. And I say need because that's the standard I hold myself to. I don't really need to in the big scheme of things, but in the scheme of the systems and self-respect I have, I do need to do it. That's the way I think to myself and that's the way I talk. I talk based on it being a certainty. I see it all the time with those I work with one-to-one, especially in online coaching. So many actions are based off emotions. Oh, I was so stressed, I just didn't go to the gym. Oh, I was so frantic and anxious, I didn't go walking. Fuck, I was so sad, I just ate like shit. They're normal things. They're normal responses. It is a normal and understandable response to feel an emotion and that make you want to do something. But that want to still needs to be decided and chosen by you to be done. It doesn't just happen. You don't feel sad and then automatically eat shit food. You feel sad and you've learned and created the comfort from the system of eating shit food. But ultimately, that makes you feel shit in the future. It's a lack of care towards your future self. So that stems back to the statement. You can feel emotions, but that doesn't have to dictate your choices. It's okay to feel sad and do something that a happy person in quotation marks will do. When I'm motivated, I go to the gym. When I'm sad, I go to the gym. When I'm happy, I go to the gym. When I'm anxious, I go to the gym. When I'm stressed, I go to the gym. Why? Because I can feel an emotion and not let that dictate who I am or what I do. You're allowed to feel a negative emotion and do something positive. Vice versa, to make it realistic, you're allowed to feel a happy emotion and do something negative, which is a weird thing to say, but ultimately you can. A feeling doesn't create a set of rules that you have to do this, that, or be that kind of individual. We just as humans and as a society are fucking lazy and we let our emotions dictate our choices. Lazy in that sense, but it always, 9 times out of 10 at least, creates more hard work for us in the long run. I feel sad, automatic response, eat shit food, feel comfortable for a moment. Lacked on my diet, lacked on my self-respect, lacked on my future self, lacked on the week that I worked so hard for, more work to be done. I just really want that emphasis that it's okay to feel an emotion and not act on what the default is. You can create your own defaults. My default emotion when I'm sad, when I started, was not go to the gym. But when I'm sad now, I've created my default emotion, get my fucking ass to the gym, because I always feel better after. This is actually a really great thought I've been thinking of too. Happiness is within, the cliché, a true reality. But doing things can allow happiness to happen. I'm smiling thinking about that. I've been someone for so long to think that happiness or self-satisfaction is the next thing. 20 clients, I'll be happy, but I wasn't. Buy my car, I'll be happy. Apartment, I'll be happy. Travel, I'll be happy. This, and this. It is so fucking cliche to say that happiness is within. It's not external. It's not a location, place, possession, or achievement. It is within you. However, what I've learnt on these travels, experience and exposure to so many different things, doing different things can ignite the happiness within you. It can expose you to be happy inside. Going from Australia to Paris, you'd think would make you happy, but you can be depressed or happy in Australia. You can be depressed or happy in Paris. I've been both in both locations. But one thing I learned, that I can find happiness from the experience and the exposure to experience of other places. I'm trying to articulate this in a way that I'm thinking about it because I don't know if it's coming across the way I want. What I'm trying to say is that happiness is within you and it is an ultimate choice whether you feel it or not. A place, possession, achievement, or location is not going to create that for you long term, but going to a location can expose you to things that make you access the happiness inside. Reaching an achievement can make you access the happiness inside. So what I mean by that is, I could realistically be traveling the world right now, depressed as fuck, anxious, upset, X, Y, and Z. But I'm choosing to be happy that I've reached a goal that my 16-year-old self set. I'm choosing to be happy because I'm experiencing things not many people get to experience. I'm choosing to be happy. It's a choice, but it's a choice. It's like this pool that sits within your chest that you can access at any point in time. It's just by chance. Doing things can make you happy, but it's only letting you access the little bits that already sit inside. I was someone for so long searching for happiness and achievement. The next thing, I'll be happy. I'll get to this point, I'll be happy. And I had a conversation with one of my friends not that long ago, and I said to him, I genuinely think I will get to 70 or 80 years old. If I'm laying in hospital in a nursing home, think to myself, was it worth it? Was I really that happy? And that's fucking scary. I register the way that I was living my life on the endless pursuit of high level achievement, ultimately in the long run, might not allow me to be happy. And it was so scary because the only way I was feeling happiness was from those achievements, but those achievements weren't actually making me feel happy. It was the journey that was making me feel happy. It was the thought that I was getting there and working hard that was making me feel happy. That thought of being in my 70s, 80s, or 90s with regret of, was it worth it? That terrifies me. And it was something my life was set to honestly experience 4 or 5 months ago. The human I was 4 or 5 months ago was set on that pathway to be that older man looking back going, fuck, was it worth it? And I've had those little experiences and reflections throughout my life when I've missed events, when I've missed big occasions, personal occasions, special things for work, for achievement, for the relentless pursuit of high goals and high growth. And I just never felt satisfied with it. So it's like each thing I bought, the boundary just got pushed further back. The Golf GTI became a Mercedes A45. The A45 became a Mercedes GTR. And I just thought, at what point does it stop? And it doesn't stop. When you're caught in that loop of achieving it and it never being good enough, it's fucking dangerous. And look, I'm no guru on that. I'm still in that realm right now. I'm still working through it. I'm really trying to learn to value things differently, and fucking hell, the point in time when I come home back to Australia, I already know how differently I'm going to live my life. Going for a simple coffee with my friend during the week, I never valued. I valued work. If I could work, why would I not? And it blows my mind now because all I want to fucking do is go for a coffee with my mate during the week. And it's such an interesting exposure, stemming back to even the first point I made. You are not the story that you tell yourself you are, but you can create anything of who you want to be because you end up being the story you are in your own mind. That's how you act. But that's not actually who you are, or that's not only who you are, I should say. That's what will allow it to make more sense. That's not only who you are. But that thought, the happiness is within. It's not an achievement. Now, things can make you happy. That's not what I'm saying. Achievements, goals, possessions, locations, all these things, they can make you happy. But long-term sustained, truthful happiness is a little generator that sits inside that needs to be fulfilled and tapped into often. It's not going to last from achieving something or buying something for you. There's another great point that I wrote. Fucking hell, I've done some good things this week. Nothing will change your life more than the exposure to experience. That could be travels, conversations, books, podcasts, dates, solo activities, movies, anything like that. The exposure to an experience with a conscious mind that wants to gain something from it or is willing to gain something from it. You don't have to do something for the pursuit of growth, but if you're open to it, you can gain something from it. The exposure to experience, that will change who you are ultimately long term. Nothing's going to change your life, your character, the way you think and the way you feel than exposing yourself to more experiences. Now, if you're working in a career 9 to 5 and you can't travel, there's no excuse. There's conversations with different people. There's podcasts, there's books, there's movies, there's fucking just different perspectives from another human being. If you're traveling, you get the perks of really being exposed to a lot of experience, which changes your mind on so many things. What you value, what you realize is really important, what you realize we create importance on, what we actually need to live, what we stress about that's unnecessary, what's good, what's normal, all of these things. It's been fucking amazing. The next podcast episode that launches is 20 lessons I've learned since traveling. It is fucking amazing. That's going to be out in 2 weeks' time. But the exposure to experience is so important. And I say that because it is literally my job as a coach, not a PT, not a bullshit backyard, teach you some exercises individual. As a coach is to expose you to a different perspective. That does not mean my perspective is the only way. That does not mean that I have the best perspective. That does not mean you need to take what I say and only work with that. It is a different view. I have the skill of the 2-lens view, the logical view and the emotional view. That allows you to see both sides of the story, the emotional actions and the logical actions. Some people haven't developed that. Some people don't know that that's something important to have access to. So they need to be exposed to different experiences and different perspectives. Every single time I've read a book, it's changed my life. Every single time. A fucking book. That's changed my life. So that means if I didn't read that book, my life would be different to what it is now. If I didn't have that conversation with my mentor, my life would be different to what it is now. If I didn't have that conversation with that random Italian man at Trevi Fountain, my life wouldn't be the same as what it is now. It is a disservice to you to not expose yourself to multiple experiences, materials, and dynamics. It just blows my mind that so many people are closed off and they sit in that mindset of bitching about people. That's just who I am, not happy with life. It is what it is. Like, you could literally go down the street, talk to someone, be consciously open to that conversation, and it changed everything for you. I've been so set solid on these ideas before, and then someone says something about it, and it's almost like a little mind-blowing moment of, holy fuck, I've never thought of it that way before, and it just changes everything. There was this one thing my mum said to me one time when I was going through a hardship 2 years ago. Work does not love you like family does. And that was when I was going through some troubles of prioritizing work over everything. And that statement she said really agitated me at the time. And then I thought about it and I thought, holy fuck, I am a service to people that does amazing things, magical things. I definitely developed some special and wonderful relationships, but I am a service that can be used and stopped at any point in time. And that was hard for me to understand. When she said family loves you more than work, or work won't ever love you like family does, I thought, yeah, they do. But then I'd have someone stop. And it was really hard for me 2 years ago to comprehend that. But now I get it. I am a service, and it's the best thing ever. I get to be with people for a period of time. I get to impact a life for a moment. But the full responsibility and reliance is not on me forever. Family's there forever. Family, in my definition, can be chosen or blood. It is those people that you would be there for no matter what, or those people that regardless of what you go through, good or bad, are always there in the long term. I have blood family and I have chosen family, such as friends, mentors, things like that. But that single line she said changed everything for me. It allowed me to be a better coach, show up better, feel less stressed, less responsible, have a better relationship with the business I was running. If she didn't say that one single sentence, my life wouldn't be the same right now. Fuck knows where I'd be or what I'd be doing. I'd probably still be at AC, working 70 or 80 hours a week, killing myself, and then in therapy working on my perfectionism, wondering why my life's not going the way I want it to. Yet from that one conversation with my mum, it changed everything. I've had conversations with clients, changed everything. I onboarded a new client a month ago, now when this episode is out. They had been dealing with this situation for 5 years of pure struggle, absolute hardship, didn't know why it wasn't working, and I just made a comment. You're acting through emotions only. You're never acting through logic. You are projecting onto those people, and that is why they do not understand. You are lacking the understanding of what they are saying. The situation at face value wasn't the issue. It was someone projecting onto someone, coming from places of trauma and insecurity. I said that one conversation, that one line, that one point. 2 weeks later, they fucking messaged me. They've dealt 4 situations in a completely different way, and every single way has worked in the favor of them and the individual they were having problems with. That came from one conversation. You are not too good to listen to someone. You are not too knowledgeable to hear another perspective. You are not too on track, on point, on lock to not have a care for what another person has to say. Not everything everyone else has to say is going to have value, but you can take value away from it. I definitely think, nothing will change your life like the exposure to experience. Okay. Change is the most utter scary thing we think of, but it creates the most beauty to be real. I then back it up with a following reflection. Contradicting to that, we have the ability to convince ourselves that we would rather do what we are doing than actually start doing something different that works. The stubborn nature of survival in humans actually is a paradoxing detriment to our thrive. Man, I'm going cryptic on you this episode. Really cryptic on you this episode. So, what does it mean? What am I saying? Change is the most utter scary thing we think of, but it creates the most beauty. Change is something we think of to be scary. It's fucking terrifying. It feels life-ending. It just feels like something that's impossible at some points in time. But it's not real. Okay? For anyone that's on Spotify, I'm grabbing the air. It's not real. What I mean by that is the reflection of change is scary, but what the action of change actually does is creates beauty. It's like that Chris Williamson quote where he says, the thing you are looking for is in the work you're avoiding, or the beauty of what you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. We, in our head, make change to be so scary, but the action of change isn't that scary. So for anyone who's overweight, high body fat, they're needing to learn to move more. The idea of moving more It's fucking terrifying. It's exhausting. I'm scared to do that. But the actual action of moving more, it's not that scary. It is walking out your front door, left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg, walking up the street. So we create the stress in our mind to be something so intense that it roadblocks us from the action, but the action itself is not scary. The idea of going to a gym, fucking terrifying. The action is not scary. Drive, open your door, walk to the front door, walk in, sign a waiver, jump on a fucking bench press. Nothing in that individually is actually dangerous or scary. But we're so protective as a human being that we over intensify the stress. No, that's too scary, I won't do it. So the reflection of change is more scary than the action of change. And you just need to be able to differentiate that. Break those two apart. Yes, the thought of it's scary, but the actual action isn't scary. Dumb it down. Simplify it for yourself. I'm in Italy, Rome right now, in a random ass studio, filming a podcast, having to translate, paying fucking euros, do this, do that. The thought of that is scary. Fuck, that's so overwhelming. That's too much. I don't think I can do that. The breakdown, message, translate, pull up to a building, go up an elevator, set up the studio, talk into a microphone. It is not that scary. So when you're over-intensifying and overwhelming something that you know you need to do or want to do, dumb it down to its basics. Tracking on MyFitnessPal, it's so scary. So many numbers, obsession. Oh, it's just too much. The actual action of doing it. Download the app. Look at what you're eating. Punch in the numbers. Look at what the numbers tell you back. They're not the same thing. And it's actually, this is weird to even say. It's nice to hear me say this because it's such a valid and good point. It's such a good reflection that the thought of change is scarier than the action of change. So to make it something you can do, dumb it down, simplify it, make it moment by moment. Anyone who starts with me, we work on a coaching spreadsheet. And every time they see the spreadsheet at the start, it is always, holy fuck, that's too much. There's so many numbers. I got to put in that much information. The idea of it, intensified stress, holy fuck, data, numbers, spreadsheets, apps, this and that. Wait a second. Spreadsheet, columns, single number per column, 7 days a week. It's not that big of a deal, nor is it stressful. But this then also ties into the stepping stone method, a method that I've created for my business and those I work with, where it is a systematic system like the schooling system, kindy through to year 12. If you put a kindergarten student into year 12, they would have no clue what the fuck's going on. That's why you go to kindergarten, learn a bit, fail, understand it year 1, learn a bit, fail, understand it year 2, and you stepping stone your way. You can stepping stone break down anything. So for me, with this studio, stepping stone, look one up, work out the price, translate a conversation, make an inquiry, bit by bit by bit. That's why anxiety is so intense for some people, because all it is a lack of action. Fuck, I'm stressing about this thing I've got to do. What the fuck are you doing stressing about it? Just do something about it. Now, I love those statements, well, it's not that hard. It's not that big of a deal. Fuck, I find going to the gym so hard. Okay, just go. For some people, it's really complex and intricate and they have roadblocks, emotional blocks, trauma blocks, all these different things. But realistically, you can break it down to be that simple. Okay, the idea of going to the gym is so stressful. Let's just start with getting in the car. Fuck, I'm in the car. Okay, the next thing, just drive there. All right, drive there, walk in the front, bit by bit by bit. Now, you can't get in the car and then start stressing about going to the gym. Oh, I'm in the car now. Fuck, I've still got to go to the gym. Just get in the car. What's the next step? All right, drive there. It is just singular steps on getting you there. Now, the second point to link back of what I said, contradicting to that, we have this ability to convince ourselves that we would rather do what we are doing than actually start doing something different that works. The stubborn nature of survival in humans actually is a paradox in detriment to our thrive. 99% of the time, we know that if we do this, that will change our life. Or we know what to do, but we don't do it. That's why you see fucking people with cancer in a hospital, in the ICU, going out for a cigarette. That's why you see a diabetic eating junk food and shit. That's why you see someone with liver failure drinking alcohol. Because the comfort we create in doing what's known is sometimes so comfortable compared to the stress and worry of changing. What we know will change our life, but we don't do it. So here's the thing, right? I talked about this in other episodes before. I've never been suicidal, but I've had bad depression. Moments where it just felt so crippling and so hard. But there was things I could fucking change to get me out of that quick. But I was so comfortable in the position that I was in that the change was so scary. Social media was giving me depression, yet I fucking stayed on it, posting it, validated by the numbers. I could have just deleted the app. Partying gave me depression, yet I stayed doing it. I could have simply just not gone out. We have this weird cycle-like lock on ourselves that we continue doing what we know is not good for us, but it is so comfortable. It is such a familiar feeling that we keep doing it and we don't make change. Now, I'm not speaking out of pocket here, but the research I've been doing recently on trauma ties in so much with that concept I'm talking about. I'm not going to give specifics because I don't want to overstep and overspeak. The Body Keeps the Score is a book based around trauma. If you ever have had trauma, dealing with it, or curious about it, read that fucking book. It will change your life. Shout out to Shani who gave me that book. It has been fucking amazing. I've referred it to so many people. But again, going back to it, that familiarity we feel of doing something that's not good for us is so familiar and comfortable and is such... There's no stress tied to it because it's not changed on you. We stay doing it. Like I remember when I went to ICU for someone else last year, and I was out the front and I saw a diabetic with their legs cut off eating burgers and chips, and I was fucking mind blown. I was angry about that. I seen people who I talked to that were in there for cancer. They needed a lung transplant. They were smoking cigarettes. Now, there's a difference in addiction, and that's a whole different ballpark and a whole different conversation. But that idea that, yeah, what we do is so comfortable, that's not good enough. And you need to check yourself on that. That's when it annoys me and it's upsetting when people say that's just who I am or that's just what I do. That's just not good enough. But again, I know it. I've been in it. I was forcefully giving myself depression because I was too scared to change what I was doing. I was forcefully a detriment to my intimate relationships and friendships, but I was too scared to change it because the idea of change was so scary, but the actions of the change itself weren't scary. But I couldn't split it. I couldn't see the difference. The body can't register the difference between what's scary and what's dangerous. So you kind of merge it into this one thing. Oh, if it's scary, it's dangerous. Primarily, that's not good for me. Humans are about survival. I won't do it. And that's fucking mind-blowing. It is so mind-blowing that we know we do things that aren't good for us, but we keep doing it. I know people who are overweight that eat shit, don't move, smoke, drink alcohol, and they're doing nothing about it because there's so much comfort in the known of what they're doing. They know eating shit food makes them put on weight, so they expect to put on weight. They've just become okay with it. That situation for them, eating shit food, putting on weight, is more comfortable than the idea of losing weight. And that's just, it's so heartbreaking that some humans don't have the ability to want, not the ability to do, because everyone has the ability to do, the ability to want to think of the multi-dimensions of a situation or the multi-faces per experience or situation. They just see the single lens. They can't part different thoughts, different understandings below the surface. Fucking heartbreaking. Oh, this is going to be an at. This is going to be an at. At no one specific. And if you feel a little something from what I'm about to say, good. It's not personal, but if you're feeling a bit of emotion, something needs to change. You're registering, oh, what he's saying is pissing me off. It's tickling a little bit of agitation in my brain. It's firing a little bit in my heart. That's a good thing. That's giving you a lesson. It's giving you an opportunity that change is possible. Or you could work on what I'm about to say. We have become soft from doing what we feel, not doing what's needed. Stress is inevitable and vital, yet not as bad as you make it. We have become soft from doing what we feel and what's needed. That ties back into what I was saying up the top, doing based on what we feel. I'm tired. I won't go to the gym. I'm sad. I won't stick to my meal prep. I'm anxious. I won't pursue a hard task. I'm worried. I won't go and do something new. I'm fucking sick of that thought. And it's hard, yo. 2024 is a risky time to make some bold statements. If I was famous on Twitter and I put out the statement, we're soft as fuck and only act based on our emotions, I'd get my asshole torn open. I would be ripped to shreds because it would trigger so much in so many people. Now, there's so much acceptance these days in so many different things, genders, pronouns, this, and this. That's all good. That's all well. I'm not talking about that type of softness in acceptance. I'm talking about the softness that we've just started accepting. It's okay to act on what we feel, which is fucking bullshit. Why do you think you see those relentless human beings on social media saying things like, you're lazy, you lack confidence, you lack discipline, you lack this? It's because they're the type of person that aren't acting based off their emotion. Me, for an example, I don't pick and choose what I do based on how I feel. I do things regardless of how I feel because I know what doing those things will make me feel. I know by doing this pod, I will feel a sense of achievement, proud, happy, and I will learn. I can self-soothe through a stressful situation. I can actually do this next time. I feel good. Versus, could have left it, not done it, fuck it. Nah, feel shit for the rest of the day, poor me, sit in the apartment, do nothing. Where does that get you? It doesn't get you anywhere. Being that person who can detach from your emotions through your actions is super important. Now, I'm not saying detach through your emotions where you're a fucking numbless, not feeling zombie walking the streets where you don't get happy or sad or it doesn't alter some things. It's just the 100% reliance on our actions being based on how we feel. That is why so many people have this goal they want to achieve and they're just in constant friction and tension with what's needed to be done to get there. I want to lose weight. Okay, do what's needed. Oh, but I have, roadblocks and I get tired and overwhelmed and stressed. Okay, fair enough. Well, then stop complaining that you want to lose weight. That's the ultimate thing. You either act based on what's needed and feel what you need to feel regardless, that's all good, or you just accept you're forever at the surrender of your emotions, and your emotions can be dictated by things such as a fucking smell in the air, a breeze by the wind, a rock on the floor, or a simple sentence from another human being. You're forever at the surrender of all those things for that to dictate what you do. And that's crazy to me, but it's only crazy because I know the life of doing that and the life of not doing that. Yo, I was so fucking lazy during the first ever pandemic. I was young. I think I was 17 or 18. I thought earning $600 a week in cash that I declared, earning $600 a week in cash, I thought that was insane. I would work 2 hours a day. My fucking screen time a few times over the week was 16 hours because I couldn't be fucked. It was a lockdown. I felt lazy. I was sad I couldn't do my job properly. This, and this. I've been that person. But I've also been that person who has done what is needed for 3 years straight and is now living the positive outcomes from those actions. Working on a Friday night when I'm tired. Working on a public holiday when I feel FOMO. Getting up at 5 a.m. 7 days a week. Going to bed 7 p.m. 5 days a week. Eating the same mince and rice 5 days a week. Training 6 days a week. Doing those things regardless if I was happy, sad, this or that. Shout out to any PT or a majority of PTs because you know what it's like to go to work when you're sick, when you're tired, when you're sad, when you're this, when you're that, because we owe it to the people we work with, if you're a good enough coach, in my opinion, to show up. I remember I'd go to work when I was sick as fuck with a non-contagious thing. So, I don't know, something personal, whatever. Even just the flu, on the back end of the flu when you're sick or, when you're not contagious and you're recovering, but you're just feeling like shit. I remember I would go to work when I was feeling like shit. When I would go to work when I didn't sleep. I'd go to work when I was feeling this, and this. Now, don't at me that you're tying into the perfectionistic of high relentless work 24/7. That's another point that you can take away from this. But it's just that fact that I was the type of person, and still am, that does what needs to be done regardless of how I feel, which means I'm a walking example of the positive outcomes of that. The possessions you can get from the good money you earn, the experiences you can have from the hard work you put in, the physique, the life, the this and the fucking that. Hopefully that doesn't make me sound arrogant. Okay, I just time checked. 47 minutes. I have points on points on points I want to make. But fuck, I don't want you guys listening for much longer. So I'm going to make one more point. Something a little corny, a little cliche. And you know what? I did say in the title, cliche. The cliches are the best because how do you give a definition without using the word in the definition? The cliches are the best because they're a cliche. Because they're known and they're actually factual. This is a little something you might have heard before. A little corny, but something that I think is a very valid point. Just quickly before I say it, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. I really want to break the thousands and thousands. We got to become 10K so we can celebrate. Then 20, then 50. But it's not going to happen if you don't subscribe. Like the video for me because that will tell me if you enjoy it or not. And if you're on Spotify and you want to share it, fucking share it. I appreciate you. I adore anyone who's tuned in. But anyway, let's get into it. Never go into a grocery store when you are hungry. You will grab the wrong things as a repercussion of being hungry. Never get into a relationship when you feel lonely. You will attract the wrong one. Never get a forced career when you feel poor because you'll choose the wrong one. Never start a journey when you feel pressured by others. You won't stick to it. Never start studying because that's what's right, in quotations. You'll never see it through. Don't dictate an action based only of a lack thereof. Don't just get a career because you're feeling poor. Don't just start losing weight because everyone's telling you you need to. Don't start doing this because there's a lack of that. It's just a little something to think to. I created the ones underneath, but the main one is never go into a grocery store when you're hungry. You'll grab the wrong things. So it's just an analogy of representing never do something as a result of just lacking what's needed because you won't have the right intentions and you might not get the right outcomes from it. That's episode 12 of the Future Self podcast. I'm going to leave it at that. I fucking love you guys. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know. Go check my social medias. Link down in the description. If you made it all the way through to the end, I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one.